You've gone through months and months of training, done countless miles, and now the big day is finally here. You'll no doubt be nervous and a little bit stressed about the day ahead, especially if you're running your first marathon and not knowing what to expect. Well, today we've got a full race day step-by-step guide to get you from the start to the finish with full timestamps throughout the video to help ease your nerves and get you pumped up for the great marathon that we know you're going to have. So with 2 to 3 hours to go, we're going to wake up, get out of bed. The first thing I like to do is check the weather forecast. Is it going to be as expected? Is it all good? Do we need to make any last minute changes? It's likely that you won't have slept that great, but don't worry about this. It's happened to me so many times and so many other thousands of runners around the world. It really doesn't make too much difference. Just get up and get your breakfast down you. That's the most important thing we should be doing in the morning. For me, I love to have a bagel, well, 2 bagels, peanut butter and jam. Now, you might not be feeling like eating too much at this time of day, most likely due to some nerves, and you might be just up a little bit earlier than you'd normally be. Hydration here is also equally really important. For me, I'm trying to have about 1.5 to 2 litres before the race. This is usually for me about 2/3 of my volume I'll have in a sporty carbohydrate drink, something like a Morton 320 or a Precision Hydration carb mix. And then for the other third, in a separate bottle, I'll have some electrolyte fluids in there as well. I'll be sipping on these drinks throughout the whole morning, all the way up to the start line. And then while I'm sipping on my drinks, I'm getting all of my race day kit ready as well. I'll have laid it out all nicely the night before, and then just double checking I've got everything. Have I got my number? Have I got my pins to put my race number on? Have I got my timing chip as well? My watch, my shoes, my cap, my singlet, and my socks. Then there might be some other little bits and pieces that you're going to need as well that you can tick off your checklist. Things like headphones, if you're going to be using those, your gels, how are you carrying everything, your pack or your waistband, plasters, body glide, your mobile phone. Just get all of this into your drop-off bag that you're going to be taking to the start line. And also at this time of day, you want to be thinking post-race as well. Maybe a little snack for when you finish the race, so you can get something down quite quickly. For me, I like to put a recovery shake mix in there, some powder that's ready to go. Also some flip-flops, because my feet will probably have swollen up a little bit during the race. Flip-flops are usually the most comfortable thing. And then really the most important thing post-race is some warm clothes. Your body's going to be pretty trashed after the marathon, and keeping warm is just a little bit harder. And marathons tend to not be at the warmest time of year as well. So a nice big puffy jacket to put on after the race. Moving on, about 1 to 2 hours to go. We're probably in a car or on a train or on a subway heading to the race village where the start of the marathon will be. This really is now the time to focus on what is coming up. Think back over all the training that you've been doing. Reiterate your why. What has got you to this moment? Why are you doing this? We've all got our own personal reasons. Go through your A, B, and C goals as well. Be so proud of yourself. You've made the start line. That is a massive achievement to do in long distance running. Now, 1 hour to go. We'll have hopefully arrived at the race village. I personally like to get there a little bit earlier than that. What I really like to do first is, one, find the toilets, go to the loo, and then find where I'm going to be dropping my bag off, because that's a real stressor for me. So there'll be big bag drop places. I just like to pinpoint where those 2 things are. That's all I'm focused on for the next hour or so pre-race. Make sure you've bought your own loo roll as well. Join the back of the loo queue or the porta potty loo as soon as you get there and come out the loo, and then maybe go straight to the back of the queue again, because by the time you get to the front of it, you're going to need to go. A lot of pre-race nerves. A lot of people are going to be needing to go to the loo more frequently than you might regularly be doing, because you're going to be naturally quite nervous about what is coming up. Now is a good time to get the gels out of your bag, get your pack on or your belt on, get everything in there that you're going to be taking through the race. For me, I need to get my camera and my GoPro out and put that in my waistband as well. Then now it's time to go and check that bag in and make sure you've taken a nice warm item with you. A sweater, something that you're going to discard on the start line, just to keep you nice and warm. Most races will then donate these clothes, so don't feel too guilty about chucking something away. Right, the nerves are going to be rising. About 30 minutes to go before the off. For me, carrying on sipping on my sports drink, getting a banana down is something I really like to do. Just helps settle my stomach a little bit as well. And also personally in some road races, I like to take a little Imodium tablet, again, just to help settle my stomach. I do not want to be going to the loo during the race. That's not what I'd recommend to everybody to do, but it's just something that works for me and I've always done it. It's also now time to start to think about having a little jog around and getting ourselves nice and warmed up. Dynamic stretches, this and going for a little jog. This is a really good time to do this. When we're in our corrals or our starting pens, we're not going to be able to do that. It's going to be very busy in there. For me, it's usually about 5 to 10 minutes of very slow jogging, just getting everything moving and nicely warmed up, and then lots of dynamic stretches, my leg swings, opening and closing the gate. And also a good time to check while we're doing our warming up, how are our shoes feeling? Are they too tight? Are they too loose? Hopefully they're just right. But now is the time to readjust our lacing and making sure we've got a really good solid lockdown. We don't want to be having uncomfortable slipping shoes just as the race starts. The more important the race for me, the more times I double knot or triple knot or quadruple knot my laces. Valencia Marathon, I think I did 5 different knots with my laces. They were never coming undone. So make sure your shoes feel nice and secure, and then it's time to head to the start line and get yourself in that start line pen. Then around about 8 to 5 minutes to go, I like to get my GPS watch locked on nice and early. With the amount of people around looking for GPS, you want to get that locked on nice and early. I think the Garmin's don't time out for about 10 minutes. So at about 8 minutes to go, I like to get that nicely locked on, ready to go. Time to ditch that warm layer, maybe have a chat to a few other people around you, just keep your nerves in check. And then before you know it, it's the race start. Thousands of people crossing the start line, including you, off for an amazing adventure for maybe the next 2, if you're Kipchoge, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, whatever it's going to be. Wishing you the very best of luck. Now, these are my top tips for what you should be doing during the race. The first one, as we start, know your paces. Be patient, ignore what everyone else around you is doing. Everyone's going to have their own goals. So many people go off far too fast at the start of the race, and don't get suckered into their pace or suddenly thinking you can go 30 minutes faster than you've actually prepared for. If you do suddenly decide to go off way quicker, those last 6 miles are going to be really, really horrible. About 30 minutes into the race, you should be nicely settled in and feeling quite relaxed. Hopefully the roads have got a little bit quieter, because it can be pretty chaotic at the start of marathon races. This is really when you're going to start to think about having your first gel. We recommend taking something around about every 30 to 40 minutes during the marathon, but whatever you've done in training, whatever gels you've been using in your training. For me, it's normally a Morton gel or precision hydration gel, but only use what you've been practicing with in your training. Things are probably going to be, hopefully, feeling very comfortable at this stage. Still, don't be tempted to go any faster. You really should be running at your goal pace or slightly slower than your goal pace at this point. Don't get stressed out about it too much. It's all part of the plan. Now, in terms of water stations, my goal is always little and often. Don't go trying gulping or glugging massive loads of water at each station. That's going to slow you down. It's going to really feel quite uncomfortable as well. So just sip little and often. Now, one of the most important sections of the marathon is halfway to 20 miles. Keep ticking off those splits. I like to focus on simply the particular K or the particular mile that I'm running in. I just focus on that on my watch. Lap pace for the particular K or the particular mile. And I'm starting to think about picking up the pace a little bit gradually as well, and making back some of that deficit from the first half of the race. Gels might have become a little bit harder to get down now, but you've really got to work on getting those down. And no doubt by this stage of the race, you'll have probably started to run in a little group of people around you. Maybe you're in a pacing group as well, which we'd always really recommend. Just look around you, take it all in. What you're doing is absolutely amazing, running a marathon, and just give yourself a little mental pat on the back and just say you can do this, push on and keep ticking off those miles. And now we've approached the hardest part, what all of this is about, what makes the marathon so amazingly special, the final 6 miles. But why it makes it special? Because it's so difficult. But don't worry, you'll have done the training, so it won't be too bad. Some people say this is the real halfway point of the race, and it really is in terms of effort. The first 20 miles and the last 6 miles, effort wise, they're probably going to be around about the same. Think of your mantra, think of your why, focus on the runners that are up ahead of you, and if you've paced your marathon quite well, you're going to start to pick those people off. Just keep trying to push the pace as much as you can, and it really does feel very good when you start overtaking people towards the back end of a marathon. One of the nicest feelings in the world. But yeah, sorry to those people. They should have watched more of my videos and paced it a little bit better. Some runners like to think of their loved ones at this stage as well, and dedicate one of the last 6 miles to each one of those people, just focusing on them in your mind, and it really will just help to spur you on. But essentially, you're trying to hold it together. You can do this, you've trained for it, and you can get it done. Whatever you've got left in the tank, now is the time to empty it, take in the atmosphere and the crowds. Maybe it's time for a few high fives to pump yourself up, and get that marathon done. And then before you know it, you'll be crossing the finish line, hands in the air. You are now a marathon finisher, or multiple marathon finisher. Get your medal, get a bottle of water, whatever else they're giving out to rehydrate, start getting that recovery process done as soon as possible. But really take a moment to recognize what you've just done, what you've achieved. You are amazing, and now you're going to have an amazing story to tell all of those loved ones around you for the rest of your life about this incredible achievement you've just done. Then it's time to go and collect your bag, put on those warm clothes, meet your friends and family, potentially go out for some food, whatever you fancy, it really doesn't matter. And then finally take some photos, remember this moment, get your medal photos. You may not feel like being up there smiling straight away, but future you will really appreciate it. And then of course, finally get that run up on Strava and show everybody how amazing you've been. Then in terms of the rest of the day and maybe the days after, it's really important just to keep mobile, keep walking around, keep hydrating through the afternoon and the evening. And then yeah, obviously you're gonna travel back home to a hotel, wherever you're staying, get a good shower, just chill and relax on the sofa. You might not be feeling that hungry. A lot of people don't. It's amazing how much you think of having a massive pizza or bowl of pasta when you finish the race, and then you actually finish it, you lose all your appetite. I'm not sure what that's all about, but it's happened to me many times. But probably by dinner, you're gonna have a pretty raging appetite, and then get yourself some good sleep. Again, it's really odd after a marathon. For me, I really don't sleep very well. Your body's just going through a massive recovery process. You've probably got a bit of an elevated heart rate, a little bit warm and things like that. So you might not sleep very good straight after the race. But don't worry, your body will get back to normal pretty soon. So yes, you've been amazing, but what could make you even more amazing-er is to have a much better, stronger mental game, which is so important with marathon running. So that video is coming up next. All the mental tips and tricks to help you exceed at your marathon. That's just up here. Keep it working hard, guys. Keep it down, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.